Good morning, guys. Okay, we have 20, almost
Good
20.
morning, sir.
Very good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. And we'll start a session in a couple more minutes. Today, I'll be taking the session only for 1 hour because I have another production support meeting around 9:15 today. So I may not be available after 9. So today I'll be talking about few of the approaches and the practices which are used to understand fish model and V model, and these definitions of approaches and types what I'm going to discuss today, that will help you in the regular terminology of self testing as well. So this is one thing, and this includes whatever the assignment that I have given yesterday, which is related to walkthrough, inspection, and peer review. So we are going to include these three terms in the explanation today, which is related to the approaches. Okay. Okay. So let's have some discussion on the approaches what we have for testing. So what kind of approaches? That approach is different, model is different, type is different. All these terms are different. Make sure you are able to understand what is the difference between approach. Approach means the process. We will talk about the process of testing. And types means how many types. So let's say testing types. So types are something like manual test and test automation. These are the types. Models is are nothing but like what we have discussed, waterfall model, which will guide the entire flow of the activity what you are going to perform. It's not only the simple type of activity that you will talk about, it will talk about the entire flow of the activities what you are going to perform. So that's the difference between model, type, and approach. So today we will discuss about the approaches related to the testing activity. These two terms are included both in fish model and in V model. What are those approaches that we are having? Anyone have any idea? Any idea about that? Okay, let me talk. Sorry, what is that?
Exist.
Exhaustive testing.
Optimal.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Those are included as part of main. There is one main term for both the things. Let me tell you. There are a couple of testing approaches. One is static testing approach, and second one is dynamic testing approach. One is static testing approach, second one is dynamic testing approach. What is meant by static testing approach and what is meant by dynamic testing approach? What is meant by static testing approach and what is meant by dynamic testing approach? Any idea?
Static testing means actually testing the document.
Okay. What
Dynamic
kind of
testing,
document? Okay, continue.
requirement document, the requirement, every requirements right in documentary form,
Okay.
documentary form, sir.
Dynamic testing approach means?
Actually testing software.
Okay, definitions wise both are correct, but if we can ask you in this way, in static testing approach, whenever you are testing the documents, what are the things that you are going to test in the documents? What are the factors that you are going to test in the documents? Anyone?
Checks the code and design.
Sorry, what is that?
Checks the code and design.
Code and design. In documents, you will not have code. In documents, you will not have design. One thing, even though, what is that?
Requirement documents.
Whatever the documents might be, you'll not have code in the documents, right? Okay, suppose assume that you have code in the documents. How can you review the code basically? I hope you understand my point, right? Did you understand my question?
In the coding phase, we have to use.
In the coding phase, we have?
Yes, we have to review the coding part.
I don't know who share this knowledge to you. You may not be accessible to the code review part, okay? Because your job is to perform the testing activity on the application. You'll
Yes.
not have the complete authorized person to review the code, because if you know all the programming languages or scripting languages, we'll be able to write the programs directly, right? So but testing is not the job related to code review or review the code whatever the developers has written there. Developers are going to write the programs and they are going to convert those programs into the application format, UI format. That kind of UI, whatever the application that you are seeing, that you can validate and you can tell whether the functionality is proper or not. If the functionality is not proper, then you can intimate them this functionality is not working as per the requirement. Then the program will be changed by the developer. That's a backend process which is going to be followed. But static testing approach means the definition what the initial person said, like reviewing the documents. Reviewing the documents is nothing but static testing approach. That's a perfect answer. But when you are reviewing the documents, what you are going to review? Second question, right? So when you are reviewing the documents, you are going to review the content, representation, alignment, and spelling mistakes in the document. What is the concept of that particular project? What are the requirements, how many number of requirements that we have included in that document? And do we have any conflict between one requirement and another requirement? What is the representation? Do we have any messy things in the document? And spelling mistakes, do we have any spelling mistakes in the document? These kind of factors we are going to consider when you are reviewing the documents. You'll not have code in the documents, you are not going to have application in the document, nothing will be there. It's a plain text. Everyone will be able to understand that plain text. That's how the documents are going to be prepared. So let's say, for example, I have written something on the screen which you are able to see. If I'm going to write a program, instead of writing this one, will you be able to understand directly? Will not be. So whenever you are reviewing a document, your main target will be how many number of requirements are there. Do we have any conflict between one requirement and another requirement? Or how the representation of the documents are aligned, and do we have any spell mistakes in the document? If we have any spell mistakes, we need to update those things. Avoiding spell mistakes is a mandatory thing when you are reviewing the documents. That's one of the important activity that we are going to perform. I don't know, don't remember these kind of points saying that testing job is something like where we are going to review the code. We are not going to review the code. Will not be involved in a code review activities. That's what yesterday in one of the example, when I'm asking you about the Amazon application, if you want to order something, you're going to download the application, or you're going to browse the Amazon application in your Google Chrome browser, and you're going to purchase a product. Instead of that, if Amazon gave you some program and asking you to purchase a product through that program, will you be able to understand? Right? They won't give you the programs to place an order, because the application, the UI application, which is a user friendly, is being used by the people who are in very small town and villages as well. Even they are purchasing a products through Amazon application because of the UI it is having. Even from Flipkart, even they are doing recharge through online. So all these are happening because of the user friendliness that companies has created. If they are going to give the programs to those persons who are not able to understand, what will be the case? The person who is having programming knowledge can only do all these kind of activities. Other persons cannot do. Correct? Try to avoid explaining such kind of points in the interview. We are not going to review the code. Understood? Any questions? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, dynamic testing approach. Dynamic testing approach. Let me write the definition of static as well here. Reviewing the documents and providing the observations, if any. All these things needs to be reviewed. Dynamic testing approach. The process of reviewing or testing the application. The process of reviewing or testing the application. Here UI comma functionality will be there. So here we are not going to review the documents. We are going to review the application through UI, right? So this is how dynamic testing approach can be defined. Any questions so far? Response, respond. Everyone is there in the right, so at least you can respond to my questions, guys. I thought someone is there. Okay, so now we have three terms: walkthrough, we have three terms called walkthrough, inspection, peer review. Anyone can start with walkthrough?
So walkthrough means semi-informal meetings.
Okay,
It is planned by 2-3 peoples, lead by others.
okay. Inspection,
It is formal meetings, sir.
okay. Peer review,
This is also informal meeting, sir.
okay, okay. Fine. One suggestion to everyone who is in this group. Okay, whenever you are, this is an interview tip again for today. Whenever you are learning for the interview, or whenever you are learning these kind of definitions, or whenever you are trying to understand the terminology related to the activity what you are learning, okay, so don't concentrate on the technical terms at first. Understand what is the meaning of the original terminology what we are talking about. Okay, so here someone said these three are valid points and these three are suitable points for the definitions what I asked, like peer review, walkthrough, and inspection. Peer review is an informal meeting, walkthrough is a semi-informal meeting, and inspection is formal meeting. Now come to the topic. If we are going to tell the same thing in the interview standpoint of view, the immediate question will be what is meant by informal meeting. If you said semi-informal meeting, what is meant by semi-informal meeting? If you said formal meeting, what is meant by formal meeting? Basically, we are not giving alternative terms to ask the questions here. We need to answer in a suitable way. Even in generic terms also fine. If you are able to understand, or if you are able to explain it, explain it in a general terms. Don't include single technical terminology here. Let me tell you, so that you will be able to understand what is meant by peer review, walkthrough, and inspection. I'm going to agree with the definitions what has been provided so far, but let's talk about peer review in general format. Peer review. Peer means what? P-E-E-R. Peer. What is the meaning of peer?
Appear.
What is that? Sorry. Can you repeat that?
appear or visible?
No,
Group of three people.
it can be a group of people, or it is your colleague, or it is your team member, or it might be your group of your project people or your project team member, or whoever it might be. Peer means another person who has been involved in that particular project, I can say simply. Peer review. Peer review means whatever the documents or whatever the functionality or whatever the activity that you have performed. Let's say I have designed one test case. I assume that I have designed a test case, or else I have designed a document. I cannot directly send this document to the managers or to the delivery persons or to the customer directly, right? So the initial review has to happen. So who will review the documents? Instead of sending these documents directly to the manager for the review, it's an informal way of intimating our team members, saying that I have designed so and so document. So there are 31 people in this group. So I'll share this document to one of our colleague, or 2 people, or 3 persons, or 4 persons, whatever the number might be. I'm going to send this document to their review. So I said, I'm going to ask them, saying I have designed this document and this is the functionality that we have, and I have prepared this document. Can you please review it and provide your comments? If there are any updates required to that particular document, our peers can comment on that, and they are going to provide suggestions, or they are going to provide changes in that particular document, and so that we can change the information related to that based on the comments, right? Peer review is nothing but it's a informal way of reviewing the activity what we have performed, and the review is going to be performed by the other team members who are involved in the project. That's the reason we are calling this as an informal meeting. So there is no formal way to address this one. Generally, we are going to ask them. It might be orally, or it might be through Jira or email. We will ask them directly, saying that this is what I have prepared. Can you please review it and provide your comments? That's it. In the same format, walkthrough. Walkthrough is nothing but it's a semi-informal meeting. What do you mean by semi-informal meeting? We cannot say that it's a pure formal meeting, and we cannot say that pure informal meeting. It is mid of both, mix and match of both formal and informal. What is going to happen here? What is meant by walkthrough basically? Walkthrough means the process of discussing about the functionality about the functionality. Note point here is one or two persons will explain about the application or domain to other folks in the team. Generally, what is going to happen? It's a semi-informal meeting. There are few people who are there are few team members who are going to involve in this meeting. One or two persons are nothing but domain expertise, or BR product owners. They are going to explain about the domain and the application in this particular meeting. It's a semi-informal. They can discuss about the requirements what they have received. There'll be to and fro questions will be there. BA will ask some questions to the team members, and team member can provide their suggestions to the BR product owner, or whoever is going to demonstrate that application. It's a mutual understanding between the team members, or mutual representation between the team members who are involved in that particular project. So that's the reason we are calling this as a semi-informal meeting. We are calling this as a semi-informal meeting. And the final one is inspection. We mentioned it as formal meeting. What is meant by formal meeting? Formal meeting in the sense, inspection means it's a kind of process explaining about the domain or application to the entire team members. This particular process includes project managers, delivery managers, technical managers, architects, everyone who has been associated to that project. One person is going to demonstrate the entire flow of that particular application, and the remaining folks are going to listen everything what we are going to explain. At the end of the session, the questions will be there, Q&A session will be there, and they're going to discuss about the questions what they are having. So that's the reason we are calling this as a pure formal meeting. Peer review, reviewing the documents, exchanging the documents between two team members or between the group of team members, and review is going to happen. Once after the peer review is done, the documents will be shared for the delivery team. And walkthrough is nothing but it's a semi-informal meeting, process of discussing about the functionality. One or two persons will give the demonstration on the application, who is having knowledge on that. Inspection is nothing but it's a pure formal meeting where they are going to discuss about the application, where they are going to discuss about the application, and one person is going to give the domain knowledge on that particular application to entire project team members who have been associated to that project. That's how 3 definitions has been mentioned. Apart from this, there are 2 more. Apart from this, there are 3 more. Author, inspector, reviewer. So who is author, who is inspector, who is reviewer? Anyone?
Other means owner of the document, sir. Who prepared the document?
Okay. Okay. The person who prepared the documents. Instead of owner of the document, please tell this point if interviewer asks you this question. Okay, owner of the document means there are 2 ways. One is the person who prepared the documents, and another one is the person who is going to maintain the documents are also called as owner of the document. So here we are not talking about the maintaining, here we are talking about the preparation of documents. A reviewer, in general, who will be the author of the documents in a project? Business analyst, system analyst. Come on guys, is it boring for you? No one is responding, only 3 to 4 voices I am listening, rest of the people are not. Are you guys able to understand, or do you have any questions or any confusions? Please let me know. If you are not able to understand in English, I am capable to explain you in Telugu as well. Let me know, even that as well. I am ready. I understand this is a winter.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Clear, sir.
Okay, fine. So reviewer. So what is meant by reviewer? Who is going to? The person who reviews the documents. So what kind of documents? The documents which are being prepared by the author. So the reviewer is nothing but the person who review the documents. Generally, QA will review the documents. QA persons or testing team will review the documents in the process of static testing approach. Inspector. Who is inspector? The person who is having complete knowledge on the documents and the application. So on both sides, the inspector is going to review the documents and review the application as well. So inspector is the one who is having complete domain knowledge on the application basically. Okay, these three definitions, all these comes under static testing approach, because here we are all talking about the documents. We are not talking about specific to the UI or specific to the functionality. Walkthrough explains about the same thing. Inspection, it's a formal meeting, explain about the same thing. Peer review explains about the same thing we are going to discuss here. We are not going to engaging with the application functionality or DB or performance or web services of the application here. We are just talking about how the application functionality should work. And sometimes walkthrough is also nothing but if customer doesn't know about the functionality, that means if customer is not familiar with the new UI of the application, then our BR QA has to give walkthrough about the functionality to the customer as well. That is also called as walkthrough. Only document sharing to the customer may not be helpful for the customers to understand the application, because there will be few customers who will not be able to understand directly by seeing the documents. That means they'll request you to explain the functionality by showing them the application. Which button I have to click, which menu icon I have to click, which what are the details that I have to enter, all this kind of information that I have to put. Okay, so these are this is the information which is being included in static testing approach. What is meant by dynamic testing approach? As we have mentioned, the process of reviewing or testing the application with respect to the UI or functionality. We are talking about UI and functionality of the application, but as we have few terms under static testing approach, even in dynamic testing approach also there are a couple of terminologies. The one who said in the first point of this session, exhaustive testing and optimal testing. What is meant by exhaustive testing and optimal testing?
Just all possible scenarios, sir.
Okay, what is meant by all possible scenario? Optimal testing means
Optimal, best possible scenarios, sir. Okay.
okay. So what is all possible scenarios and what are best possible scenarios? Any idea? Any example for that?
Exhaustive testing, one example, sir. Any application, username in the field, sir. Username accept the only characteristics. Characters for like alphabetics only.
Okay.
That is all possible scenario.
Best possible scenario.
No example for my side, sir. Optimal testing.
Okay. 1 second, let me tell you. Okay, so Exhaustive testing is nothing but it's all possible scenarios. Testing of an application in all possible ways is nothing but exhaustive testing. That's a true thing. Okay. Let me add this point. Testing an application in all possible scenarios is nothing but exhaustive testing. Optimal testing. Testing an application in best possible scenarios. So I want to mention, instead of scenarios, I just want to mention here combination, because I haven't discussed the complete information on test scenario yet. So that's the reason I'm just mentioning it as combination. Combination in the sense adding couple of functionalities or couple of cases together is nothing but combination. Best possible combination. Okay, let me tell you an example. Exhaustive testing. Exhaustive testing means testing an application in all possible ways. That means if you want to test an application, let's say there is a functionality. If you want to test that functionality, there are 100 ways to test the functionality. Okay. So there are 100 ways to test the functionality. That means log in into the application, go to so-and-so screen, perform so-and-so action and click on submit button. If you want to click on that submit button, there are 100 ways to click on that submit button. You can go from screen 1 to screen 2. You can go from screen 10 to screen 2. You can go from login page to screen 2. You can go from screen 4 to screen 2. Depends on the functionality. You'll have many number of ways to reach to that particular screen. Okay, if you are going to test the application in all, you're not going to think about what is the best practice that we can follow here. You're going to think about only how many cases that we can follow, how many ways that we can follow to reach to that particular location, right? So one simple example I can tell you. Everyone is from Telugu, Andhra, I guess, right? So I'll let you know about one state map to understand this example. We have this state map. To reach to the place called Vijayawada or Guntur, if you want to reach to Vijayawada or Guntur, there is a distance from, like, if you can take from, if you can consider from Chittur, or if you can consider from Anantapur or Kurnool, if you want to reach to that place, it will take almost like 10 to 12 hours of journey. You have to come across few different places, and you can reach to Guntur for next 12 hours, if you can say. Right, that is a long distance. You have to go through all the journey and you have to reach to your destination. There is another possibility way to reach to Vijayawada or Guntur. What is the other possibility way? From Hyderabad, it will take only 4 hours. Simple. This is one of the live example I'm just telling you. The destination is same, but the source, the point where you are going to start will be differed here. Exhaustive testing means all possible combination. That means you have to go through that long way and you have to reach to your destination. You have to reach to your goal. Optimal testing means the destination is same, but the way that you are proceeding, the way that you are traveling, the way that you are moving from source to destination will be very shortest way, but you are covering everything in that particular scenario, in that combination. So exhaustive testing means it's already overloaded, but still I'm trying to reach to my destination. Okay, there are 100 ways to test this functionality. I'm going to test all the 100 ways to approve that functionality is working. In the same case, in other case, if you can consider optimal testing, it's a best possible combination. That means even though you test the application in 20 cases, 20 possible combination, you are going to cover the complete functional testing of the application. You can have the same output again. Which one takes less time and which one is the best practice that in the real time? Anyone? Which one is preferable? Exhaustive or optimal?
Optimal testing.
Why?
Optimal.
Why?
Reach a goal in short term time.
Okay. Second important thing.
Optimal is time saving.
No, that's a general point, man. So we can consider think logically. What is the benefit between what you are going to gain? What is the profit that you are going to get when you come across exhaustive and optimal testing? Think about logically and personally here. What is your personal achievement and what is your logical achievement? Logical achievement will be, as you mentioned, the time thing, and someone said related to the optimal testing is preferable as we are going to test the best possible combination. What is the main point that we can consider? What is your personal achievement that you are going to get? No? Okay. Your personal achievement will be you get lot and lot of analytical ability when you go with optimal testing. Why? Because in exhaustive testing, there are 100 combinations to test the functionality, but you are optimizing that to 20 best combinations. That means how much analysis is required to reduce from 100 to 20. Are you getting my point? Personally, you are improving your analytical ability on thinking about the application. Okay, this is the application functionality I have in front of me. I want to test this application functionality. If I want to test this application functionality, there are 100 combinations, but I do not want to test 100 combination. I want to test the whole functionality with only 20 best combinations. If I'm going to test this 20 combinations, that means the output should be same, and I'm going to get the same output even when I'm going to test with 100 combinations. Are you able to understand my point? Your analytical ability will be increased more and more if you can go with optimal testing. Personally, it will improve a lot, and logically, it's a time saving. It's a exhaustive testing is a time consumption, and optimal is a time saving. And even in the real time world also, optimal testing is preferable because less work, less time, more output, more quality output, I can say. Right? Any questions? Hope you understand my point here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No question.
Okay, so exhaustive testing and optimal testing both are dynamic testing approaches only, because these two deals with the application, not with the documentation part. For documentation, we cannot optimize the documents here. The functionality is similar. We can just reduce the number of lines, or we can just reframe the paragraphs what we have explained in the documents, but that doesn't comes under dynamic testing approach. Dynamic testing approach always deals with the application, UI, functionality of the application only. It doesn't discuss about the documentation part. So overall, there are two types of testing approaches. There are two testing approaches. One is static testing approach. Second one is dynamic testing approach. Static testing approach always deals with the documents. The documents is to check the number of requirements and to analyze if there are any conflicts between the requirements and spelling mistakes and all those things. And we need to provide the feedback to the author. Author means the person who prepared this document. Once after the review process contains 3 steps. One is peer review, walkthrough, and inspection. Peer review is an informal meeting which will happen between your team members to review the documents, exchange the documents and review them. And walkthrough is something like a semi-informal meeting where we are going to discuss about the functionality, where one person is going to deliver the or explain the application functionality Inspection is pure formal meeting, which will happen in between the project delivery team members, technical managers, and everyone who has been associated to that project. Everyone will be involved, and the demonstration is going to happen, and the Q&A session will happen in inspection. And apart from that, we discussed about author, reviewer, and inspector. Author is nothing but who prepared the documents, reviewer who review the documents, and the inspector who is having complete knowledge on the documents as well as the application. Dynamic testing approach always talks about the reviewing or testing the application functionality at the UI level. And exhaustive, in this we are having two types again, exhaustive and optimal. Testing the application in testing an application in all possible combinations, nothing but exhaustive. Testing the application in best possible combination is nothing but optimal testing. So here, did we include code review at any point of time? No, right? We are not at all going to review any kind of code. Our accessibility will be like, we are authorized to review only the actions performed at the browser level. The actions performed at the browser level. I will show you one example what we can do, at least in the real time. This is not a code review point, but still, as you are very you are very excited to see what is happening at the back end related to the code and all. I'll show you one example. Assume that I have prepared one application which is called something like Eventbrite, I can say. Okay, this is the application which I have developed. Assume that basically this is not my application. I'm just telling you, assume that this is my application. I want to see what will happen in the backend when I click on login button. I don't have email address, password, nothing. If I'm going to click on login button, what is going to happen in the backend? I want to see. You cannot see the complete code, but you can see this kind of information. If you can click on F12 or if you can click on inspect, you can see this window. You can see this window. So if you can go to console or network tab, basically console or network tab. So I'm just navigating to network tab. Okay, I'm just navigating to network tab. I'm going to click on login button without entering information and see in that particular tab what is going to happen. These are all the requests which has been sent to the server. It is the backend code which is being developed. So if you can see, header will be there. This is the data which is being sent to the server, and this is the response which we have received. And this is the source code that we have sent to the server, and this is the session ID, and all these dynamic IDs has been sent to the server. And this is the preview what we have received, and this is the response what we have received, and what is the initiator, and these are the JavaScript programs what our development team has provided. So all this information you can see at the backend, but this is not the original code what we are going to see in the backend in the review part. It is just what are the actions that we are going to perform, and whatever the actions that we are going to perform, whatever the response that we are going to receive from the server, you are going to see this in a code format. At the same time, how can you find out that there are errors in this particular area? By seeing this, how can you conclude that there are some errors? If you can go to console window, you can see DevTools failed to load source map. There is something which is being displayed here. And even if you can see here, the count is 3 and warnings are 4. Red color count which are nothing but 3 errors. Yellow color count which are nothing but warnings. Warnings you can ignore. No need to worry about that. If there are errors, then you have to intimate to your development team saying that in console window it is displaying so and so error. See, because your site has cross origin embedder policy, that means this is related to policy. No need to worry about that. If you are going to see some extra code or some extra thing related to your application, you need to intimate the same thing to your development team, saying that I'm seeing some error in the console window when I click on so and so button. This kind of job you can perform, but original code what the developer has written, you are not going to review that. right? Understand what will happen in the back end? Any questions? Okay, fine. So now we have fish model here. I'll just give you a pictorial representation how the fish model works based on the approaches that we have discussed at the top point. And later on, we will discuss about few more terminologies based on the picture that we are going to have. Okay. Anyone have any idea on this picture?
No, sir.
Actually, based on the definitions, I just provided like this. But usually the view will be like a fish shape. That's what it was explained, but still this is, I'm going to mention RC, which is nothing but requirement collection. Okay, and then requirement analysis, review 1. Okay, design, review 2, and then overall review 3. It can be continued. There is no concept of these many reviews has to happen. We should not increase review 3 or something like that. No, it depends on the application. We will have a number of reviews which are going to happen in the real time. Coding, this leads to unit testing and integration testing as well. the phases might be a little bit jumble, but still try to understand what is the approach that we are talking about. All testing activities are going to perform. It might be unit testing, component testing, module testing, everything will be performed here. Static testing approach. The top layer, whatever you are seeing related to the reviews, is called static testing approach. And the bottom layer, what you can see, is called dynamic testing approach. Clear? All the phases are covered. Once after this system testing and everything is done, this leads to maintenance. Done. All the phases are covered here. Are you able to understand? No one? Not able
Yes, sir,
to understand?
Understanding, sir.
Okay. So this is just a pictorial representation of fish model. Requirement collection will be same for review phase, static testing approach phase and dynamic testing approach phase. And initially the review 1 is going to happen during requirement analysis, and then design review is going to happen, and then review 3 for all the documentation is going to happen, which is called static testing approach. And that leads to, if reviews are well and there are no issues with the reviews, then it is ready for if the application is ready, then it is ready for deployment, release and maintenance. Even when we are releasing the application, we need to provide the documentation as well. That's the reason we are navigating that this particular line to release, maintenance and deployment. And the bottom line is nothing but dynamic testing approach, which involves coding, application testing, unit testing, integration testing, everything. All the system activities, everything is being pointed. Here we have crossed everything because the review documentation will be sent for the testing activity as well. Based on the documents, we are going to test the entire application. All the testing activities will be performed here. Once the testing activities are done, then the application will be deployed, released and maintenance to the customer environment. So we are going to discuss in detail about this one in tomorrow's session, and we will complete the V model as well in tomorrow's session, and then we'll move forward with defect life cycle. In defect life cycle, we are going to discuss about bug, error, fault, defect, and issue. I still remember this question, so you'll have lot of time. So make sure you'll be thoroughly prepared with this kind of terms when we are with defect life cycle concept. If tomorrow's assignment will be the defect life cycle, check the concept of defect life cycle if you have time, and which will be helpful for us to understand defect life cycle very quickly, maybe in tomorrow's session or in day after tomorrow's session. Okay, it depends on your understanding tomorrow, as we are having almost everything has been covered in today's session which is required for fish model and V model. Maybe tomorrow's session makes me very easy to explain you about how the fish model works and V model works in the real time, and then we'll jump on to the defect life cycle in tomorrow's session. We will have complete session from 8 AM to 10 AM tomorrow, not like today. So it's an important meeting for me. I have to jump on today. So tomorrow we'll have the session exactly at 8, and then we'll continue till 10 o'clock tomorrow. Fine. Jyoti, do you have anything to talk? Jyoti K.
Nothing, thank you.